almost said, welcome back to the Phil Cross Survival Podcast, because I always do that. So this is not a podcast. Well, it kind of is. It's kind of a video podcast. It's going to go on my YouTube channel. If I ever get any subscribers. It's slowly growing. It's a whole new medium for me. I'm sure I'm making all kinds of mistakes. Not that I have the other ones figured out either.
Yeah, you and I both.
A whole new world, right? So I came on board with Fieldcraft a couple of years ago, and I said to Mike, hey, can I work for you and remain anonymous? And he actually did think about it for about 5 seconds. He was like, no. People need to know who they're training with. Apparently that rule doesn't apply to Sean Kirkwood, by the way.
But he's not bitter, Sean.
No. So I started Instagram, and I really still have no idea what I was doing. So when you came on, I don't know if you asked me the same question or I preempted, and I said, no, you don't need to. And, and then we talked a little more, and I was like, yeah, I think you probably do, right? And you love it.
Yeah. Just like a root canal.
Yeah, she hates it, right? And we're going to talk about toxic social media in a minute. But here's the thing. I'm glad you started it, because there's not enough women like you who have actual credibility and the background and the skills and the knowledge. And because a lot of them out there are faking it, right? So we need more female role models who actually have the background skills and knowledge to give solid advice. And there's just not enough of them. So I am glad you started it, right? But you can't take things personally. Yeah. And it's worse for a woman. It absolutely is. And it doesn't matter if you were a freaking Mossad agent, commando, right? Yeah. They mean not everybody, jackasses, who instantly think they know more than you, right? And you'd be like, this guy, and I was like, look, it's simple. Block, delete the comment, and block them from your Instagram. To me, it's like the ultimate slap in the face. Well, now you don't get to see anything, right? That's why I don't get mad when, like if I post something and it's only happened once, I think, on Instagram, take my post down and say, oh, you violated the rules and all that. And yes, we all know it's one-sided and all that kind of thing, but it's their platform, it's free, and you have to play by their rules. So it's the same on mine, right? I don't mind you arguing with me or whatever, even though I don't really take debate and I don't really get into arguments. But if you want to be a jackass or you want to attack somebody or talk shit about somebody, I'll just block you. And then you don't see anything anymore. So I was like, block and delete them, Kirsten. Block and delete them, right? And you've gotten in a couple of arguments with people. Give me an example of a couple of things people have said to you.
They've made fun of my kit and that it's too big for me, which, yes, I know. But I don't get to choose my kit. I was a police officer and they bought it for me.
When you're in the SWAT team, is it hard to get kit for a small female,
especially a petite female? I mean, the smallest size, I mean, and it still isn't made for a woman. We're made differently. And so those kind of comments are just like, you're ignorant. That's not even worth my time, because obviously you have no clue how the real world works. It's hard to win an argument with a smart person. It's impossible to win an argument with an idiot. Right. So there's no point, right? Like initially when I started, people were arguing with me about things that I have. Like there's a lot of shit I don't know, but there's some stuff that I lived for years and years and years, and I'm like, why is this guy being an? And at the end of the day, it's my opinion. Yeah. Unfollow me if you don't like what I'm saying, right? And I always preface things. This is my opinion, right? And opinions are everywhere. So. I remember that one with your kid, right? I remember that one. What else? And just the direction of the camera and how you think something may be somewhere that it's actually not, but whatever. And then when I have to make these little quick videos, and it's purely for, I don't even know how to describe it. Just like thought processing. Like what would you do in this situation? Yeah. How would you react? And it's obvious it's for show. It's not like I'm training somebody, right? It's just a quick little 20-second thing. And then people are like making fun of my grass and literally my lawn.
Really?
Yeah. And talking about how you should never off-body carry. Well, you're also a dude who has the attire that can always carry on himself. And not every female has that ability. or wants to, for whether or not they're comfortable with carrying their children and a gun on their hip or whatever. Like, there's many different options out there that, it's always better to have the gun right there and ready. But some women or men can't do that for one reason or another. So it's another option.
That's why we employ female instructors, because they understand things like that for females. We had one recently where one of my medics, who's one of the best, probably the best medic I've ever seen. We were in the Q course together. He's on my team, Special Forces, 18 Delta, phenomenal guy. And he teaches tourniquets and he teaches all kinds, and then he teaches improvised tourniquet, because imagine if you didn't have a tourniquet. And people are like, why would you ever do that? You should have a tourniquet. So I'm just going to carry 8 tourniquets on me every day. And if you're the 9th person, I'm just going to let you bleed out, because I can't use an improvised tourniquet, right? Because it doesn't work.
It's just complete ignorance.
It really is. But they're looking to get a response from you. The worst thing you can do is argue with them. Block, delete, gone, right?
There was only one time that wasn't even possible, and a whole community attacked me, and I don't know how much I can say about that one, but I ended up having to just turn the comments off because it was so absurd, and they had no clue what they were talking about.
No clue. There's no context, right? You can give a little bit of information, and it is ridiculous, and it absolutely is worse for you. Or for females when in the tactical space, right? So let's the whole tactical world here. I mean, it's a sausage fest, right? Let's be honest. So and the comment you talked about was a female in special operations, and look, females have been in special operations since World War II. You know, and if you are not involved in the community, you probably don't know that. But anyway, so hang in there, block, delete, and look, social media. You're trying to help the customer understand who you are, right? Because you should know who you're training with, right? You're also trying to give small bits of information to help people in a very crunch time, right? The attention span on Instagram is very, very short.
Right.
YouTube's a little better because people can sit down and watch it on a big screen. So you can do these big, long, elaborate videos, but nobody watches it after a minute, right? So you got to get a little bit, and you're trying to help people out, and it's a free platform. Right? You don't have to follow. I found it hilarious one time. Somebody commented on the podcast we have, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's jacked up that there's ads at the start on your free podcast. There's ads that you can skip ahead of, right?" So anyway, it's not. It's rare. I've gotten some weird comments, but it's rare that I get that many weird ones anymore.
It's gotten a little better recently, thankfully, but it's brutal for a while. In one day, I think I had to block and delete like 50.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you don't block them, they're just going to keep coming back with this toxic BS. And if you have a valid point, great. But if you're just being an asshole, go be an asshole somewhere else.
Right.
Okay. So go follow Kirsten, and don't be Rosie K. Barr.
Yeah.
So look, there's, like I said, there's a lot of fake people on social media, and there's a lot of fake people giving advice on something they know nothing about. So you were a police officer, 12 years, 6 years on the SWAT team in Charlotte, which is not a nice place. There's a lot of crime in Charlotte, right? So, and you're very passionate about it. So when you give advice, you want to make sure it's right, because people take that to heart. Okay. So when did you come on board? What month?
February.
February. Okay. Is this the weirdest job you've ever had?
Yes. Well, I've only had one other job. I was a cop.
Me too.
And that's kind of weird too. So
yeah, it is. This is the weirdest job I've ever had, because it's very, very, it's very fluid.
Yes.
And it's ever changing, and you're always trying to stay ahead of it, right? So you came on board to take over and run the personal security course, right?
Yep.
So we have 2 courses. We have one. It's pretty much the same course, but it's females only, because, which I didn't understand a couple of years ago. I thought a female only class, it gave the impression that we were dumbing it down for females, right? Which we weren't. But it's not that. It's just that some females are more comfortable training in an environment with females.
Yep.
Right? And then the second one's a co-ed class. Male, female, doesn't matter. It's actually a really good class to come as a couple. run scenarios as a couple in things. So we do mindset, we do the law, we hammer home the law, we do some firearms, some carry options, and then we do a lot of scenarios and put you in a live scenario with simulations and all that. Tell me like 3 things you've learned that you didn't really know since starting this and having run a bunch of these courses.
Brandishing. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize how many people thought that it's, I don't know, illegal mm-hmm. or how that works. And so that was something.
Tell me what brandishing is.
So we ended up having to put a separate slide altogether into the training because mm-hmm. that was coming up so much. And every state has some kind of law about presenting a firearm, but it's when you present that firearm in a criminal manner. Mm-hmm. So robbing someone at gunpoint, that would be against the law, right? But if you're presenting a firearm trying to de-escalate a situation that hopefully will make the person leave or whatever, then that's not illegal. Now,
so obviously presenting a firearm is showing it. Are you talking about pulling it out and pointing it?
Showing or presenting where you actually mm-hmm. pull it out. Mm-hmm. But the most important thing with that, if you are going to brandish, if you're going to use that as a de-escalation tactic, you need to make sure that you can retain that firearm if you cannot use it legally. Yeah. And keep in mind the person that you're dealing with and the space and distance and your backdrop. And I mean, there's so many.
Usually not a great idea.
No, I would never. Yeah. The point mm-hmm. of being concealed is to have that shock.
Yeah.
So mm-hmm. I'm not going to present it early because I don't want them to know I have it.
Yeah. You're tipping your hand, right? Mm-hmm. What else? About the students. Tell me about the students that you've seen and things you've just generally learned, male and female. Can I tell you one?
Yes, please.
Women are better at this than men.
Yes.
When it comes to the scenario, women are more level-headed. Mm-hmm. They're less likely to overreact, and they're more analytical. Mm-hmm. And because they don't have ego.
Yes.
They don't have that ego where I'm going to escalate this and take a human life unnecessarily.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
That would be the next one I'd say is how quick someone is to go for that.
Yeah.
When they really aren't justified. And even in situations where it's borderline, like, mm-hmm. do you really want to, if you don't have to?
Yeah.
You know, like that's mm-hmm. a huge, even if you're completely justified, that is life-changing.
Yeah.
And mm-hmm. I don't think people really recognize all of that because no one really talks about what happens after.
Yes.
When the media posts your picture and your mm-hmm. address and talks about how the person who tried to jack you was the sweetest little person in mm-hmm. high school who, you know, all this crap. I mean, it happens to police officers. I think that would be the next best or next topic would be how much more understanding people have for police officers.
Right.
Making these brutal, very rarely black and white, typically mm-hmm. gray decisions in a horrible situation that they don't want to be in the first place. They didn't choose that. Mm-hmm. Just like every normal citizen, they don't choose to be, you know, carjacked or robbed or whatever.
Yeah, police officers are enforcing the law that were voted on by the people you put in office, right? They're your laws, mm-hmm. right? So, we see that all the time, right? And we see, that's why scenarios are great because they put you in an uncomfortable situation where you have to make a decision. And you can talk about theory all day long until you're mm-hmm. there. I'll give you one example because we've 100 scenarios we can run, but I ran one recently where a guy's coming to his car from the grocery and the guy's harassing him for money and change and like just like a homeless guy or whatever, right? And it escalated and escalated and escalated and ended up getting physical and the guy pulls guns and shoots him, right? Mm-hmm. And in the AAR, I was like, okay, let me throw a scenario at you. This guy's a homeless veteran. His meds have gotten screwed up by the VA and they're messing, which I've seen personally, right? Mm-hmm. Where they throw all these meds at the American Medical Association is throw drugs at you, see what happens. If it doesn't work, we'll throw something different at you, right? And some of these guys are on so much medication, it's messing with their head, right? I said, here's the scenario. This guy's a homeless vet, he has a family, he's had some drinking problems, got some PTSD. VA fucked up his meds, and you just shot him for $9 worth of groceries. Really? Yeah. You want to live with that for the rest of your life? Have we lost the ability to punch someone in the face in this country, right?
Yes.
Just because you have a gun doesn't mean, and even, that wasn't justified, but even if you're justified, you're taking a human life, which is not to be taken lightly, right? So I think when you drive that home with students, it's very, very valuable, and they go, bing, the light came on. Oh my God, I had a female say, I didn't know what I didn't know last weekend, right? Because we're in this little bubble as civilians where we don't see crime every day, and we don't realize how many bad people are out there, right?
Yeah. A lot of people think castle doctrine or stand your ground, duty to retreat, depending on what your state is. For North Carolina, it's a general statute number, but they think that gives them an automatic, like you said, quote unquote, license to kill.
Yeah.
And that's not what it is. You should, regardless of your laws, be able to articulate why there was no other option but that it was you or him or her, right?
The best kind of description of castle doctrine I've heard was from one of the guys in New Jersey, one of the state troopers. He said, you have a higher expectation of security in your home, in your car, and in your place of work. Now, that doesn't mean you can just gun anybody down, right? And you really do need to get trained and understand the law and understand avoidance, situational awareness, mitigation as much as possible, because you really don't want to go down this road. Let me move on to another subject. Let's talk about the level 2 that we talked about this morning. What's that going to be like? Because you're writing this, not me.
Yeah. It's going to be a thinker's course. We're going to put you in situations where you're going to have to process the information that we give you and determine the target that needs to be addressed in multiple fashions, with paper as well as real life role players. And then it's going to be super advanced scenarios with multiple role players. And you're not going to, right now, you kind of know it's coming, right? The way that we're designing this next one is you don't know if it's coming or where it's coming from. And on top of it, your poor decisions, if you do decide to go for a weapon too soon, or you don't wait for the right opportunity, it's going to be punished, because now the role players will be able to shoot back. And so it's going to be a higher level of processing and cognitive preparation for you carrying or even non-lethal weapons, which we'll use again as well.
Yeah, perfect. Some of the stuff you're going to do some content on tasers, right? Tasers are kind of misunderstood, and they're not utilized that much, but they can be a good option, right? That's why cops carry them. We're going to do some home security content about securing your home and being safe at home. So we got a lot of stuff coming. And if you're not following Kirsten on Instagram, Rosie K-Bar.
ROSEY K-Bar.
Cool. And tons of content, tons of educational stuff. And check out fieldcraftsurvival.com for the personal security course, hopefully coming to somewhere close to you. We're heading to Florida real soon, heading to Indiana.
San Antonio. Possibly Atlanta soon as well.
Oh, Atlanta would be a big one. Yeah.
And we're going to be out near San Diego. It's technically Julian in California, but it's like an hour outside of San Diego. We'll be there very soon too, and I know there's a lot of Californians that have wanted it.
Cool. Okay. Till next time. Thank you.